So when setting up an aquarium, the first thing you need is an aquarium. And it's good to put some gravel in the bottom because it looks nice and natural. Tanks without gravel always look unfinished. It's quite common to slope the gravel towards the back so the crap's more likely to land at the front. Now I don't want to have too much gravel. I like the gravel quite thin. Unless I'm going to have plants, then you need the gravel thick enough for the plants to root. More like 4 inches for plants, knowing that some plants will grow onto driftwood or rocks. And the size of the gravel, I like quite fine gravel, but not too fine. I don't like it like sand because I don't want the gravel to get sucked up through the gravel cleaner. So now I've gone and put some fake plants into the water, and I've added some water ager. And this actually helps the GH, KH and pH, as well as gets rid of the chlorine and so forth, preparing your water for fish. So this needs to be added every time you do a water change, or when you're setting up the aquarium, to make sure that your water is ready for the fish. So as this aquarium is now, we could have a small number of fish, maybe a couple of goldfish, but preferably some temperate water fish. So an unfiltered aquarium can capacitate a very small number of fish. You could think about danios, you could think about mountain clouds, potentially a fighting fish depending on the temperature of your aquarium. Or even a paradise fish would be a possibility. So there is a small number of fish that you could consider adding to this aquarium, which is basically just a fish tank with some water, with some water ager, some gravel and some fake plants. So we'd float these fish in the bag that the fish come in for about half an hour. Once the temperature is the same in the bag as the aquarium, we can then let the fish go. Now we do not want to feed new fish for about 2 days. And when you feed your fish, you want to feed very high quality foods. This is the food I recommend. This is probiotics by New Life Spectrum. It is a cold extruded food, so it's not pressure cooked and processed. And it has a probiotic bacteria in it, which means that when the fish poo, the good bacteria in the poo eats the poo. So this is a super good way of keeping your aquarium nice and clean. Because basically the health of your fish is 50% water quality and 50% food quality. So basically, grab some fish, float them in the top, don't feed them for 2 days, then feed the fish a maximum of what they eat in 30 seconds. So all the food's gone after 30 seconds. And you want to feed them about 5 times a week. And then every now and then bring a sample of water so we can test your water and we can make sure everything's going to go well. We also want you to bring a video so we can see what's going on with the tank. And in the video, we want to see any bottles or jars or food or anything you use for your tank. Now, about every 2 to 4 weeks, it's a good idea to do a bit of a quarter water change. When you're doing a quarter water change, you want to make sure that you put water ager into the new water before you put it into the aquarium. And it's best to either stir the gravel before you do the water change, or even better, you can actually use a gravel cleaner when you're doing the water change. And the gravel cleaner will allow you to pull all of the garbage out of the gravel, and then the gravel falls back down and all the dirt in the gravel falls out. That's much better than just taking the clean water out of the top. So imagining you've got a couple of fish swimming around your tank now, zebra danios, mountain clouds, that sort of thing. When you first put fish in the tank, it's pretty normal for the water to go a little bit cloudy. The reason why it's going cloudy is that good bacteria is establishing, and often the bacteria that grows in the water grows before the bacteria that is going to eventually keep the tank nice and clear. So the next thing that you might consider doing, particularly if you want to get more fish and increase the biological capacity of this water, is you might want to think about getting an air pump. So an air pump connects by air line into an air stone, and the air stone is what puts oxygen in the water, and that increases the dissolved oxygen level, redox potential, and amount of fish that you can have. Okay, so to your fish, the very most important thing besides water is oxygen. And oxygen is very, very important for the fish. And to allow the fish to get oxygen, they must have good gas exchange. So if the water at the top of your aquarium is well agitated, then your water will be nice and rich in oxygen. The other thing the oxygen will do is increase your redox potential, which means that all the good bacteria that grows in and on all the surfaces of the aquarium will very efficiently break down your fish waste. So oxygen is the most important thing besides the water. So now that you've got aeration in your aquarium, if you've ran your tank for a couple of weeks and your little zebra danios and mountain clouds and whatever you had in there are happy and healthy, then you could bring a sample of water and a video down and you could consider getting a little bit more fish, because the fact you've got the oxygen means your biological capacity is increased. So you could get like some little rosy barbs or similar. You could get a little sucking catfish. That'll help to keep the glass clean. Now these extra fish are also temperate water fish, which means they do not need a heater, and they can handle inside your average home without a heater. Now this is obviously depending on where you live. So once the new fish have been floating in the top for about half an hour, you can let them go. And once again, once the new fish go in, we do not want to feed for the next couple of days. And we want to make sure we take a sample of water and video before we consider adding more fish. Assuming you want to increase your biological capacity over time, which means increase the amount of fish that you could potentially have, the next thing you may consider getting is a filter. Now with the filter, when we put the filter in, we really want to make sure that the filter is agitating the surface. So we need to make sure that when we switch the filter on, we want to see this surface being agitated by the filter. Because what's going to happen is good bacteria is going to grow in the filter, and the good bacteria that grows in the filter is going to break down the waste from the fish. And it's going to require oxygen to do that for the process of oxidization. So it's really important that as you notice the filter getting dirty, particularly if it doesn't seem as powerful, then you want to take the filter apart and give the filter a clean. When you clean the filter, you really want to clean the filter in water you've removed from the aquarium. You do not want to use tap water, because the chlorine in the tap water will kill off the good bacteria. So the idea with the aquarium is you add a little bit of fish, then you let the good bacteria grow in the filter, then you get your water tested, then you add a little bit more fish, then you wait for the good bacteria to grow in the filter, then you get your water tested, and you do it all very slowly, remembering that every time you add new fish, you don't feed for the next couple of days. The other thing to be aware of is that every filter is going to have an impeller in it, and you can pull that impeller out and give it a clean every now and then if you notice that your filter doesn't appear to be as powerful as it was. Now, depending on the amount of residual light where you place the aquarium, most aquariums in general, most of the day, look terrible without a light. So you may very well consider putting a light on the aquarium, like this LED slim light. Now, you do not want to have the light on too often. If you have live plants in the aquarium, you want to have the light on a maximum of 8 hours a day. So say 6 to 8 hours a day. If you do not have live plants on in the aquarium, you want to have the light on as little as possible. Preferably having the light on just while you're likely to be enjoying the fish. Now, if you do notice algae growing in your aquarium, adding snails, but more so various catfish and algae-eating fish will definitely help. Making sure you're only feeding very high-quality foods will definitely help. And reducing the amount of light will definitely help. If you turn the light off, particularly if your aquarium doesn't have a lot of residual light, then after a period of weeks, your algae will totally disappear.